Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Shrinvanta Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridiyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhrut Satam. Grantraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So today on this auspicious day of Anada Ekadashi, and also today is the appearance day of Nitya Leela Pravisht, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. We will be serving Grantraj Shrimad Bhagavatam in chronological order, and today's subject matter is from Canto number 3, chapter 20, known as the conversation between Maitreya Muni, Maitreya Rishi, and Vidurji. And the text is number 28. I believe it is displayed on the monitor. Suvardayasya karpanyam viviktadhyatma darshanaha vimunchayatma tanum ghoram iti yukta vimochaha sa avadharasya karpanyam vivikadhyatma darshanaha vimunchatma tanum ghoram iti yukta vimochaha. So avadharyasya karpanyam vivikadhyatma darshanaha vimuchatma tanum ghoram iti yukta vimochaha. Prabhus Savadasya Karpanyam Vimuchatma Tanum Ghoram iti yukto vimuchaha. Savadasya karpanyam Atma darshanaha Mataji's Vigadhyatma darshanaha darshanaha Vimuchatma tanum ghoram Iti yukto vimuchaha. Translation, word to word and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Kindly repeat, Saha, the Supreme Lord, Hari, Avadharya, perceiving, Asya, of Lord Brahma, Karpanyam, the distress, Vivikta, without a doubt, Adhyatma, minds of others, Darshanaha, one who can see, Vimuncha, cast off, Atma Tanum, your body, Goram, impure, Iti Uktaha, thus commanded, Vimuchaha, Lord Brahma threw it off. We can also repeat the translation, please. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress, and said to him, Cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off this body. Bhaktivedanta purport, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. The Lord is described here by the word Vivikta Adhyatma Darshanaha. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord Himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and He directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasaham chaham hridi sanvishtaha. I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occurs. Thus, when one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that He is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction, how to get out of danger or how to approach Him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave a particular mentality, give up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should always be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends upon the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhadan Sanskar, or the ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet and of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. I will read the translation one more time. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord, Lord Brahma cast off his body. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyabhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vedamscha Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanayas Taddham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Srimat Bhagavata Purana Amalam Prema Puma Thomahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Nayatraya Graha Varaha नवनीरदनिन्दितकान्तिधरं रसोसागरनागर भूपवरं शुभवङ्किमचारु श्रीखण्डशिखिं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं राधिका सरोदेन्दु निंदिमुख मंडली वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानु नंदिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानु नंदिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानु नंदिनी तवयस्मि 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 जाना तो वही कृपा बिना ना जा हे राधे। वंदे गुरो श्री चरणारविंदम यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत प्रसादो यस्य अप्रसादात् न गति कुतोपि ध्यान स्तुवाम यस्य स्त्री संध्याम वंदे गुरो श्री चरणारविंदम. So I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas in our beautiful New Vrindavan temple and all those who are attending online as well. My thousands and thousands of obeisances to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Guruvar, so that they can give me the intelligence to speak for their pleasure and in line with our Gaudiya Guruvar and Tattva. So, this particular chapter 20 of the third canto is about a wonderful conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidurji. We find in the Vedic culture there are so many examples of perfect disciples and perfect gurus. And Srila Prabhupada also came out with a small book, I think, Perfect Questions and Answers. So here we find that Vidurji is the perfect disciple and Maitreya Muni is the perfect guru, just like Arjun and Krishna, just like Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. The questions that these personalities ask are beneficial to everyone. So there's something very quickly that I would like to mention, that even us, when we are attending a discourse, we should ask questions, but they should be related to the topic. And we should not digress in a major way. And those questions should be with the thought in mind that perhaps it will benefit everyone who is listening. Just like when the Srimad Bhagavatam started, uh, there was so much appreciation that Sutta Goswami mentions that, oh, you're asking so many wonderful questions. This is so much for the well being of all. So, like this, Maitreya Muni is being asked by Vidurji wonderful questions, and especially in this chapter about creation, the Supreme Lord's creation. We must appreciate this knowledge. It's very important. As a matter of fact, anybody who happens to be instrumental in giving us knowledge, even whether it is material knowledge, like even when we were in school, we had so much respect for our teachers. The moment the teacher entered, we had so much discipline, we used to get up and address them, good morning, teacher, or good morning, sir. Similarly, what to talk about spiritual life? We sing every morning in Guru Puja. Narottam Das Thakur says, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bando Mui Saudhan Saudhan Mate. We have to have so much respect for somebody who gives us spiritual knowledge. Kevala Bhakti. That Keval Bhakti means not the Mayavad Keval Bhakti, which they call the Kaivalya Bhakti. Keval means only one-pointed bhakti for obtaining the service of Radha and Krishna. That is Keval Bhakti. Not the other types of spiritual components or pseudo-spiritual components where uh, the worship of different demigods and other entities that do not that is done without the proper understanding. Avidhi Purvakam. Krishna uses that word in the Bhagavad Gita. So the importance here is like appreciation. Vidurji appreciates so much Maitreya Rishi. And in our practical life, what can we take home? Sometimes we get messages on WhatsApp, spiritual messages. That's what I'm talking about. We don't even have the courtesy to acknowledge them by one pranam, just an icon. Things have become so easy nowadays, even if we don't have the time. Can you imagine His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada was extremely busy, 14 times around the globe, and no matter where he was, he answered every letter. And that time it was all snail mail. There was no WhatsApp, no Facebook, no media at our fingertips that we have now. So we should be appreciative. Without appreciation, we cannot progress in our spiritual life. We should not take things for granted. Yes, we may be busy, yes, but at least it doesn't hurt in acknowledging. And that's what this is all about, this chapter and this various other series of questions and answers, the way Vidurji is asking and appreciating his guru, Maitri Rishi. Vidur actually means one who is very intelligent. If we translate from Sanskrit to English, very skilled. He had that art. He was gifted. He was very wise. So the word Vidur means wise, skilled, intelligent, all the three. And Maitri Rishi Mandav Rishi had actually cursed Yamraj in some millennium, and he had cursed Yamraj to be born as a maid servant, the son of a maid, of a maid, and that happens to be Vidurji. Vidurji was the son of a maid. Actually, Vidurji was conceived uh, between the union of Vyasdev and a maid by the name Parishrami. And she was actually a maid of the queens Ambika and Ambalika. Ambika also had union with Vyasdev. And when she had that union, she kept her eyes closed. Because Vyasdev's effulgence was too powerful. So she was scared, but she kept her eyes closed. And that is the reason why we find that Ambika's son was Dhritarashtra and he was born blind. And Ambalika also had physical union with Vyasdev, and understanding that what happened to her sister Ambika, she kept her eyes open. But also she was extremely scared, full of awe and reverence at that time of union. And due to that, she became very pale. And the result was she gave birth to the albino King Pandu, from whom the Pandavas, that they're known, the five of them. So, because Vidur's mother was a maid servant, or she's also known as the Shudrani, her status was very low compared to the Ambika and Ambalika, the two queens, and the two half brothers. Who are the half brothers of Vidurji? Dhritarashtra, yeah, and the Pandavas. So he was treated with a lot of discrimination. And one time, just before the war of Mahabharata, Vidur was requesting again and again, Duryodhan, please listen to Krishna. We do not need to go to war. Give the Pandavas what is rightful of theirs. Give them back Hastinapur. You are just the caretaker under the instructions of Dhritarashtra, because King Pandu died at a very young age and they were very small. So you are just the custodian at the moment, but you should give it back. And Duryodhana lashed out at his uncle in a very, very furious and a very, very insulting way and said that you are useless, you're siding the enemy, and you are the one who is simply eating my food, and you are basically siding the enemy. He was insulted so badly, humiliated in the middle of in the middle of the court, in front of everyone. So what did Vidur do? So this is another, uh, I would say, a good point for us to learn. Vidur, he left. So sometimes when we find that we are insulted very badly or we are treated very unjustly, then the Vaishnava quality of tolerance and not speaking anything and simply leaving the place is advisable, as Vidurji showed through his example. In some versions of Mahabharata, it is said that Vidurji was such a great archer, big, very good warrior. It's not that well known, but it is a fact that if he had participated in the war of Mahabharata as a warrior on the side of Duryodhan, then the Pandavas could have been crushed, because the bow that was given to Vidur was by Lord Vishnu himself. And Lord Vishnu himself requested him, please don't participate in this war. Because, of course, Krishna has a plan, right? And the plan was to make the Pandavas victorious. Right? What is that verse? The last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yatra Yogeshwara. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of mystics, there is no question of any, no question of loss or losing. There's always victory. Maitreya Rishi, on the other hand, was the son of Kushurava Rishi and Mitra. Therefore, in Sanskrit, his name became Maitreya or Maitra. That A comes in. Just as a side note, when we pronounce Shri Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate. It's not Saraswati. So Saraswati means the transcendental son of Saraswati Thakur, which is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Just like one of Krishna's name is Vasudev, and Krishna's father is Vasudev. So when that A comes in, it automatically means that this particular personality is begotten of a particular father or a mother. Like another example, and one name of Mother Sita is Janaki, and her father is Janak. So just, it doesn't matter, pronunciation is sometimes not so important, because Krishna is Bhavgrai Janardhan, Prabhupada is very kind. But once we know, we should properly, because when we say Namaste Saraswati Deve, then we are calling out to either Saraswati goddess or Saraswati Thakur, meaning Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But that pranam mantra is particularly for Srila Prabhupada. So just something to take a mental note. So Maitreya Rishi came at one time in Hastinapur, as this is especially when the Pandavas lost in the dice game. And when he came, he told Duryodhan, please, he advised Duryodhan to restore the kingdom of the Pandavas, give it back to them. And he refused and he insulted Maitreya Rishi. So Maitreya Rishi cursed him that after 14 years, when the Pandavas come back from exile, at that time when there will be a war, you, Duryodhana, will be destroyed in the battle, and Bhima will strike you with the mace or gada on your thighs, and you will be killed. And if you all recollect in Mahabharata, actually, uh, Duryodhana was invincible. You know why? Because when he was very little, he actually had this particular pastime where his mother wanted to protect him and make his body like thunderbolt, very strong. So Gandhari Devi, she actually told her son when he was little, take off all your clothes and I will take off my blinders, because she was wearing blinders. Her husband was blind, so she had taken a vow that she will also use blinders for the rest of her life. That was her chastity. So when that happened, she said that when I take out my blinders and when I cast my glance on you, every part of your body will become like thunderbolt, very strong, like stone, very powerful. And you will always be protected. And because of her chastity, whatever she said, it came to pass. But what did Duryodhana do? He wore a little underwear around his lower part of the body, a little bit ashamed to go completely naked in front of his mother. So when she opened her blinders, everything, the whole body of Duryodhana became like solid stone, like we say, Shila Tankha Nakalae for Nrsingadev. How strong he is described in the Nrsinga prayers. But except that particular part where he had worn his underwear, that was vulnerable. And Krishna knew that. So Krishna tells Duryodhana after a Bhima, after a very, very strong fight, I don't think you can defeat him. And he pointed out, you strike him here, around the thighs, and he did that. And because this was a curse from Maitreya Rishi. So in this particular chapter and verse, actually, Maitreya Rishi is describing the creation. He's talking about Lord Brahma. When Brahma actually created some shadows, uh, from a shadow, the covering of ignorance manifested. And out of disgust, Brahma threw that body of ignorance. And what happened? The yakshas and rakshasas emanated from it. And then the same rakshasas who emanated from Brahma's cast away shadow or the body of ignorance, they wanted to devour him, wanted to kill him. That is the nature of demons. One time, there was one demon who performed so much tapasya, and he was a devotee, ardent devotee of Lord Shiva, to the point that where he's just like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they started even peeling their own flesh and throwing it into the fire or yagya. So such severe tamoguni austerities he performed, and then Lord Shiva appeared. And Lord Shiva says, okay, stop this now. What do you want? He says, yes, I want a boon that whoever I touch will be blown to smithereens, will explode or burn. So Lord Shiva said, okay, tathastu. I grant you that. The same, once he got that power and the benediction from Lord Shiva, he said, okay, now I must try it. And he said, I'm going to try it on you. So, something similar. Lord Brahma's creation, his own creation, wants to kill him. Lord Shiva gave him that benediction and he wanted to. So Lord Shiva started running fast, and this personality, the demon, was behind him. And then, as always, Naradji is the savior. He came in there at that spot and says, Shivji said, please save me, Naradji. And he hid behind him. And he said, this demon, I gave him this benediction, I made a big mistake. But he is my devotee, he asked me, and I could not help but give it to him. But now he wants to kill me. So Naradi says, okay, no problem. And he said, stop. The running demon that came. And he said, you want to believe this man? If he had the power of giving benedictions, he would have got a house for himself. He stays under a big banyan tree. If he had the power of benedictions, he would have got some nice clothes for himself, a nice palace, and so many other opulent things. If he cannot get anything for himself, what is he going to give you? Why don't you do one thing? See if that power is there. Try it on yourself. Put your finger or your hand on your own hand and see if it works. I'm sure it won't work. And believe it or not, he listened to Naradji and put his hand on his own head, and there he exploded. So then he was known as Bhasmasur at that time. So that is the nature of demons. They are like poisonous snakes that bite the person who feeds them. And sometimes we have that nature too. We have to be very careful. Somebody who is, like I said in the beginning, gives us spiritual knowledge, whether it is our initiating guru or a Siksha guru or a senior Vaishnava, we should appreciate it. Not become like snakes and, backbite them or think ill of them. Otherwise, where is our spiritual progress? We're playing a suicidal game when we do that. So, and not only that, the nature of those demons was so obnoxious that they wanted to actually have sex with Lord Brahma. That was Lord Brahma started running away, and like this we find that he is asking for protection from Lord Krishna. He gave actually birth to, from his different parts of the body, it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, different personalities came. So for example, from the middle of his eyebrow came Lord Shiva, because he was a Prajapati, Lord Brahma. He was asked by Krishna to procreate so that they could populate the world. He's the first Prajapati, the first progenitor, Lord Brahma. So from his buttocks, he gave birth to more demons, and they were very fond of sex. And because they were so lustful, they approached Lord Brahma for that particular purpose. And Lord Brahma started praying to Krishna, please protect me. Pahimam, Pahimam. Please protect me. So here we find in this verse and in Srila Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada clearly says that the Lord who can distinctly see the minds of others. Krishna, as Paramatma, could see what was in Brahma's mind. So he says, cast off this impure body of yours. Get rid of it. And thus, commanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahma cast off his body. And in particular, Prabhupada mentions that the Lord is described by the word Vivikta Adhyatma Darshanaha. Vivikta means without a doubt, undoubtedly. Adhyatma means the minds, and Darshana means one who can see the minds of others. Undoubtedly, that is the quality of Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find that there is a wonderful verse, chapter 13, verse number 3. Kshetragyam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetra bharata kshetra kshetragya jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. Krishna tells Arjun, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower, that is called true knowledge. So we don't know much about sometimes our own body also, but we know to a certain extent our own body. But I don't know what is going on in your body or your body or your body or so many entities in this entire creation. But Krishna knows, he is Kshetragya. He knows each and every living entity. Because Arjuna had a doubt that, oh, hey, how is it possible that you spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, millions of years ago, when you and I are cousins and we played. So then he explains by this specific verse as well that you know only about your body, but I know about all the bodies, every living entity. That is the quality of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada says it is not so difficult for the Supreme Lord as Paramatma sitting within the heart of every living entity, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. And not only distress, he directly perceives what we are thinking, feeling, and willing. Sometimes as practicing devotees, we think that due to false ego or pride, some of us may perform so many austerities, Nirjala Ekadashi. Some have this, because Maya Devi is very strong. Maya Durvatyaya. It's very difficult to surmount Maya. So she doesn't even spare the devotees until we come to the point of full surrender. So she plays this game on us. Sometimes we chant more than 16 rounds. So we feel that. Sometimes devotees advertise that, oh, one time my wife called one devotee to invite for a program, and she said, I cannot talk to you right now. I'm chanting. I chant 64 rounds every day. Why do you have to advertise it? My point is like that. I'm busy and I will call you back or whatever. So sometimes that ahankar comes within us. If we perform some devotional service, holier than thou, I'm better than you. Rather than having that spirit of das anudas, we want to become boss anubos. So this is the effect of Maya. So here we know that we are very, very atomic or infinitesimal in nature, but in spite of that, our egos are so inflamed that we think we are better in so many ways. And until and unless we come to the process of full surrender, which is known as Sharanagati. Actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has compiled a book known as Sharanagati. What does Sharanagati mean? Sharan means shelter. It's a combination of two words in Sanskrit. Sharan plus agati. Sharan means shelter, but what kind of shelter? Most of the people following a certain faith have, of course, they have some faith and they have a certain degree of shelter that they take of the Supreme Lord. But full surrender is extremely rare. And Thakur Bhakti Vinod teaches us that through his book and his songs. Actually, Sharanagati is a song book full of songs that process of full surrender. So Sharan plus the word agati. Agati means motionless. That kind of surrender, that Krishna, no matter how you treat me, I'm not moving from your lotus feet. What is that verse of Chaitanya Sistastakam, which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is speaking? In the mood of Srimati Radharani, Ashlisha Pada Ratam Pinashtumam Adarshanam Marma Hatam Karotuva Yatha Tathava Vidato Lampato Mat Prananatha Sevana Paraha. The eighth verse, the last verse, which is the summum bonum of pure bhakti. Because it is Srimati Radharani now speaking through Krishna, because Mahaprabhu has obtained the mood of Radharani. That was the internal reason why he came. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the external reason is to give Harinam, which will lead us to the internal reason. Freely giving it, Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishay Nama. Rup Goswami has composed this wonderful pranam mantra of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he had internal reasons. 3. 1, to glorify Srimati Radharani. Vasu Ghosh, one of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, says, Yadi gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito, kemone dhari tamde, Radhara mahima, premorosho sima, jagat janat ke. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come, Yadi gaur na hoite, tabe ki hoito, what would have happened to me? What would have happened to the Vaishnavas? Radhara Mahima Prema Rasasima. Radharani's glories and the pinnacle of the zenith of Prema, Krishna Prema. How would the whole world have known? Yadi Gaur na hoita, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not appeared. So Mahaprabhu's intention was to get the mood of Srimati Radha. That is why he did 12 years of tapasya in Jagannath Puri. That is why Jagannath Puri, according to our Gaudiya Acharyas, is known as, also known as Viyogini Radha Kshetra. Viyogini means one who is in full of separation. Viyog. Viyog means separation. And whose separation? Radharani's. Because Mahaprabhu chose that place in the house of Kashi Mishra, where the Gambhira is. And he took shelter of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra himself. Can you imagine? The son of Nanda Maharaj, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he took shelter of the holy name to obtain what he wanted is Radharani's bhav. To sing the glories of Radharani's prema, to feel how Radharani felt about him, the ecstasies that she felt, and he wanted to taste his own sweetness from the perspective of Srimati Radharani. 3 internal reasons. Sri Krishraj Kaviraj Goswami has wonderfully explained this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita with some amazing verses. The reason of Mahaprabhu's advent. So, that full shelter is known as Sharanagati. Sharanagati is divided into 6 parts. Dainya, Atmanivedan, Goptrite Varana, Avashya, Rakshibi, Krishna, Vishwash, Palan, Bhakti, Anukul, Karya, Karejo, Shrikar, Bhakti, Prati, Kul, Bhav, Varjan, Angikar. Meaning the first anga or the branch of Sharanagati is humility, Dainya. Second is Atmanivedan. Krishna, nothing belongs to me. And whatever I have got as a custodian or I'm an instrument, actually it is yours and I offer it to you. Gopta Devaran, Krishna, you are my Gopta, you are my protector, you are my giver. Not my education, not my degrees, not my money that I have earned. You are the one who is providing, including the opportunity for bhakti. It is only by the mercy of Krishna we find a pure guru, an acharya, and his sincere followers who can train us. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya aprasadan nagati kuru. दैन्य आत्मनिर्भर गोप्ति अवश्य रक्षे में कृष्णा विश्वास पालन. Number 4, Krishna will always protect me. I have full firm faith in that, like Prahlad Maharaj. Bhakti anukul karya kare jo svikar. Whatever is good for bhakti we should accept, and bhakti pratikul bhav varjan angikar, and whatever is not good for bhakti one should reject. So this is from Hari Bhakti Vilas. Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas, and Thakur Bhakti Vinod ji adopted that and wrote this book Sharanagati with different songs. Like for example, Prabhupada used to sing Manasa Deha Geha Jo Kichu Mor Arpitu Tuapade Nanda. That is from the section of Atma Nivedan. So like this, when we get time, we should learn the Vaishnava songs. They're so important because the samam bonum of all shastras are compressed in them. And we can, it's given to us on a wonderful platter. If someone is in distress and we try to tell a friend, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, will not completely understand our pain. We say that, yeah, I understand. Like supposing somebody has died in a friend's family and the distress and the pain that person is feeling. Sometimes we say that, yeah, I understand your pain. Actually, we don't. Prabhupada has clarified that part. That distress or pain can only be felt by that particular individual, which we cannot. But Prabhupada says Krishna can, because he is within each and everybody's heart and he knows. He even knows that sometimes when we are pretending and we think that we have become big devotees, some of us, we see and observe that when they are not initiated, they do so much seva, they run around because they need that letter from the temple administration. And they run around and they do this and they do that. And, once that letter is given and when the Guru Maharaj gives them initiation, the attitude changes. Holier than thou, better than the others who are not initiated. Those who are first initiated, sometimes when they get the second initiation, they get to go on the altar, they feel I'm better than all these who are not. We see it in a subtle way. Let's be honest. But Krishna within our heart knows what kind of devotion we have. This is what Brahmaji is talking about. This particular Maitri Rishi is speaking, that Krishna knows everything. We cannot cheat him. Prabhupada said that Krishna is the biggest cheater. You cannot cheat the biggest cheater. We can cheat ourselves by thinking that, oh, I have achieved so much nice, tapa, vrata, etc., dana, charity, all these things. I have done it. But Krishna knows why you have done that dan or that charity. Most people are motivated by some kind of a self-aggrandizement or some kind of to gain some kind of acknowledgement or fame, that my name will be on the temple wall or a plaque will be there, etc. So, but Krishna knows why one person has donated or why one person is thinking like that or a particular person is thinking like that, because he is so close to us, more closer than our wives. He's right here within our heart, very close. So, Prabhupada says it is not difficult for the Lord, as Paramatma sitting in everybody's heart. He can directly perceive exactly what everybody feels. So it is 9 o'clock right now. Those who want to go for prasadam, please feel free to do so. I will continue for a few more minutes for those who are still interested. Even if it is one person, I don't mind to continue. And it's Ekadashi anyways, so if there's no particular seva that you may have, but seva first. If you have a seva, then you must, do what you need to do. Prabhupada mentions here a very important point, that Krishna is so close that in Bhagavad Gita it says, Sarvaschaham sanvishto mattas Smriti Jnanam Uponancha. The Lord is so close, He is present in our body, and He knows Sarvasaham. I am situated in everybody's heart, and from me comes remembrance and forgetfulness. Krishna says very clearly. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it was created by the demoniac principle. And Prabhupada mentions that according to Sridhar Swami was one of the highest propagators of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always heard Sridhar Swami's commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. Just as a side note, the great Vaishnava, Sri Vallabhacharya, one time approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and says, I have written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam and it is better than Sridhar Swami. He said that. It's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this particular incident. And Mahaprabhu was so upset. He says, I don't want to see you or I don't want to see your commentary. So see, that is the ahankar that we talk about. Of course, it's a leela. Sri Vallabhacharya, one should not mistake, is a pure devotee. But he acted in such a way that enactment was there for us to get that lesson. So finally, he went to all. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had this principle that if anybody brought any literature or any kind of work, first Sarup Damodar Goswami would have to examine it. And if he approved, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would look at it. So he then approached Sarup Damodar Goswami. Actually, did not approach him directly. First, he went directly to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sarup Damodar Goswami says, Mahaprabhu has already rejected it, so please forgive me. I can't take a look at your commentary. He went to so many other Vaishnavas, esteemed Vaishnavas, they all said no. But finally, then he ended up with Gadadhar Pandit. And Gadadhar Pandit is so kind. Who is Gadadhar Pandit? The expansion of Srimati Radharani. So she said, okay. He said, okay, I'll take a look at it. And Gadadhar Pandit was a great exponent of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally heard Bhagavatam in Jagannath Puri from the lotus lips of Gadadhar Pandit. Every day. When Panditji used to speak, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would listen. There would be so much ecstasy in the reading of Gadadhar Pandit's Bhagavatam that all the pages of the Bhagavatam would become wet with his tears. And then finally, when Sri Vallabhacharya realized that what kind of a mistake he made, and because Gadadhar Pandit was so kind to him, he said, please make me your disciple. And Gadadhar Pandit initiated him. Although in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya or the followers of Vallabhacharya, they don't accept that. So that happens. Even the divinity and the power of Srila Prabhupada is not even accepted by many in the Gaudiya Vaishnava community outside of Iskcon. So what can be done? That happens. So according to Sridhar Swami, giving up the body means not actually his physical body of Lord Brahma, but give up that particular mentality, that consciousness. So this is something for all of us to take home. When we have impure minds, when we think impurely, and we think of doing something impure, then that is how we need to cast away that body, or that mind is the subtle body, by the way. There are two bodies that we have. We have the gross body made of the Pancha Mahabhut, earth, water, air, fire, and ether. And we have the Sukshma Sharir, or the subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So it means that we should get rid of our mind and that polluted intelligence and the false ego. That's what Sridhar Swami. See how experts our Vaishnava Acharyas are. Otherwise, one may say, give up the body. How can Brahma give up the body, and then how he can serve Krishna? So here it is very nicely explained. And Srila Prabhupada was very fond of using Sridhar Maharaj's commentaries and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries in his Bhakti Vedanta purports, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or Srimad Bhagavatam. Many times he has mentioned, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Srila Sridhar Swami says. So like this, we find that Lord Brahma is asked to give up that mentality. So if we are absorbed in sinful thoughts, we should give up the sinful thoughts. And like this, Lord Brahma's mind was not in correct order due to the pollution that he had and due to the mode of ignorance when he created the demons. And finally, Prabhupada says in the purport, any father and mother should also be very careful begetting children. It's a very important instruction, especially Vaishnavas should try to follow that. Having union with your partner is not a process of having sense gratification. Very, very difficult to understand this part. Most of us, we get carried away by the dictates of passion. Even we have taken to this process of Krishna consciousness. I believe Prabhupada mentioned somewhere that before having union with your partner, one should chant 50 rounds so that consciousness is purified. And the only reason why should procreate is to create Krishna conscious children. Sometimes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, father and son, would have a debate. What is better, brahmachari life or grihastha life? And Thakur Bhaktivinoda had 10 children. And he was trying to convince his son to get married. But he would act like sometimes, when the parents of a certain girl would come to see him, he would act like he was an idiot so that they would reject him. Because he didn't want to get married, and the father and son would be arguing that what's better. So of course, and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, I'm willing to marry 100 times if I can guarantee that all the children that are produced are going to be Krishna conscious. Of course, he's taking a very humble position. Supposing if he had taken to Grihastha ashram, I'm sure he would have conceived of pure children, Krishna conscious children. But he had a purpose. He was Naishtiki Brahmachari, and then directly from Brahmachari, without entering Grihastha ashram, he took sannyas. So, but as long as, no matter what ashram we are in, the word is ashram, whether Grihastha ashram, Brahmachari ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, or sannyas ashram. The word ashram means cultivating Krishna consciousness. Ashram means cultivating austerities. That is what ashram is. Chaturvarnyam Maya system Guna Karma Vibhagasha. These 4 varnas and ashrams are created by me to cultivate Krishna consciousness. Krishna says that. We find that this Prabhupada has mentioned that Garbhadan sanskar is very important. So in the Vedic culture, there are so many different sanskaras. We find that there is sanskaras when somebody passes away so that they can get liberated. They do the pindadan and all these things. Where at the time of birth, there is sanskars. At the time of the first grains, there is annaprasan sanskar. And even before birth, there is a sanskar known as Garbhadan sanskar. So Prabhupada mentions these words. Just like we find in the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, although being such, born in a demoniac family, and mother was also demoniac because she had married Hiranyakashipu. The father was also a demon. But when Indra and all the other demigods saw that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they were so powerful that they found out that when Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu was pregnant, they said that another big demon will be born. Let's just get rid of this pregnancy. Let's kidnap Hiranyakashipu's wife. So Indra kidnaps Hiranyakashipu's wife, Kayadu. And when he does that, he was going to take her to the upper region. Naradji comes right there in the middle and stops him. What are you doing? Don't do this. It doesn't befit you as the king of heaven to do this. Stop and return her. But Kayadu said, I don't think if I go back, my husband will kill me and also kill all these demigods who attempted to kidnap me. Naradji, I'm taking shelter of you. Please tell me what I should do. So Naradji, full of compassion, said, okay, you come to my ashram. You stay there. And Naradji every day spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, spoke the scriptures, sang the Vedic hymns, and within the womb of Kayadu, Prahlad was hearing this. So Garbhadan Sanskar was done by Naradji, And therefore, although in a demoniac family, through sanskaras, he came out as a pure devotee right from birth. There is a nice point in the Shastras. Janmana jayate Shudra sanskarat bhavati dvija. Janmana jayate, we are all born as Shudra. Shudra means, the word Shudra, if you translate into simple English, means ignorant. But through sanskaras, we become dvija, twice born. Dvi means twice, and ja means janma. So the first is when we born, first birth is when we are born from our father and mother. But the real birth is when we take sanskaras, when we accept a spiritual master, when we take guidance from Vaishnavas. Then we are born twice. Dvi is twice, ja means janma or birth, dvija. Sanskarat bhavati dvija. Through sanskaras, we become twice born. We become Vaishnavas. We become Brahmins. So, like this, Prabhupada said that it's very important. So, thank you all very much. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anada Ekadashi ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada Gurudev ki jai.